Hello and welcome to week 7 of CHD 120, Introduction to Early Childhood Education. Every once in a while, I like to do a video announcement, especially when we're going to be going over an assignment or a particular topic that I feel like is going to be really beneficial to you. So the reason I chose to do one this week is because you're going to be doing the first of a 3-part key assessment for this course, and this is going to be where you're going to do a little bit of research on an activity center that you would find in a high quality classroom. So I wanted to show you how I have everything set up for you in Blackboard, show you all the resources that are available to you so that you really have a good understanding of how to go about working on this project. So every CHD 120 class in the state of Virginia is going to be doing one of these projects. There's a 3-part key assessment, and this is important to know because if you're going to actually get your associate's degree, then this is something that you're going to need to hold on to for your portfolio at the very end. So the first part is this activity center project that you're going to be working on. The next one is going to be an observation that I'm going to introduce next week. And the final part is creating a developmentally appropriate schedule. So you can expect for all 3 of those weeks that I'm going to do a video announcement because it's really important that you fully understand how to do the assignment, especially because it's something that you're going to want to put in your portfolio when you complete your degree. So for this week, you'll see a couple of things in Blackboard, and so I'm going to talk you through as I show you what we have in Blackboard. So when you go into course content, then you're going to go down and you're going to see Activity Center Project. Within this folder, you're going to see that I'm telling you that we're learning about the different activity centers in the classroom, and that really what you're going to need to do this week as you start working is choose which activity center you actually want to do some research on, review all of the necessary documents that I've prepared for you, and begin working on your PowerPoint presentation. Notice it's not due until week 10, so you have several weeks to work on it, but I would suggest that you start working on it sooner rather than later. So when you click on this folder that says Centers Assignment, you're going to find several different folders as well as a couple of documents for you. So before I get into that, I wanted to show you that I set up something for you this week that's called groups. And so this is the first week that this has shown up. And so what you're going to do is for your participation this week, you need to click on this link. And I'm actually in the student preview so that my screen looks exactly like yours does. And then you're going to view the sign-up sheet to join a group. Now, you're working on these individually. You're not signing up to actually work with other people in the group. But I did it this way so that I can make sure that we have a variety of centers that are being researched. So when you click on this button, you're going to find all of the different centers you can choose from. So you have art, you have blocks, you have books, you have dramatic play, you have fine motor, you have math and numbers, you have music and movement, sand and water, and science and nature. And so you'll see that it says that the maximum members allowed are 5. And again, that's because I don't want everyone in the class doing blocks, because eventually we're going to share these with each other. And so that way you feel like you have a really good handle on a lot of different centers in the classroom as opposed to just a few. So all you have to do when you choose the center that you want is you just have to click on the sign up. And when you go and do that, it's going to say that you have added, so this was just me as a preview user. But that's all you have to do for your attendance and participation this week is to sign up for a group. So please make sure you've done that by the end of the week. Once you have chosen the center that you're going to start researching, that's when you're going to want to go to that folder that has everything that you need for the Activity Center project. So when you click on this first one, this first folder that says Instructions and Checklist, what you're going to find is I have created a very detailed PowerPoint for you that walks you through each piece of this particular assignment. So when you actually click on that, you're going to see that I have gone through and I have told you that you're going to need to study some PowerPoints that are in Blackboard for you. You're going to choose your center. You're going to pull together all of the information that you need. One thing you do need to make note of is in your presentation, you're going to need to have pictures of materials that you would find in your center. And you can find those anywhere. All you have to do is copy and paste them from the internet. And then you're going to actually put together a presentation where you're going to give us a lot of detailed information on what should be in your center. So you're going to answer these questions. There's 5 different questions. So the first one is, what types of materials should be in your classroom? I've tried to highlight or bold anything that's really important that needs to be included in there. If your center has categories, you're going to need to list those in there. And remember that you're doing this for 3 to 5-year-olds. One thing you are going to do is you're going to include if there are any accommodations that have to be made for infants and toddlers. But for the most part, you're creating this for a preschool classroom. You're going to have to address diversity in the classroom. The skills and abilities that children learn while they're in that particular center, what the teacher's role is in facilitating the learning with the materials in that center. And then you're going to have to actually find 4 different milestones that could be met as children are playing in your particular center. You have to make sure that they are from at least 2 different domains. And in the milestones book, that's why I asked you to review it last week, you notice that it's color coded. And so each color is a different domain. So for instance, language and literacy is the blue domain. Physical health is the orange domain. Cognitive domain is the red color. So when you're putting together your milestones, make sure that at least 2 different domains are actually met in your particular center. So for instance, if you have the book center, then obviously you could find 2 milestones in the blue section, which is language and literacy, but you also need to find standards from other domains as well, because you certainly don't want your centers to be set up so that they're one-dimensional. So children should actually be also having the opportunity maybe to create something, which could be in approaches to learning, which is the pink section. It could be in the physical domain where children are experimenting with different writing tools. And so maybe they're going to use their fine motor skills. So just make sure that you have included at least 2 different colors in this section of your presentation. So the other thing that I did for you, there is a rubric for you, but I also created a checklist for you. I felt like sometimes things get a little wordy, and so this is meant to help you so you can just kind of do a quick check every time that you have met something that you need to do for this presentation. So for each one of the 5 items, I have told you exactly what needs to be discussed in that particular section. I've told you where you can find that information. And for some of them, you'll see that it says things like make sure to list page numbers. So anything that is going to be something additional, I made sure to bold it so that you weren't going to lose points on that. And item 5, again, I've made sure that you need to remember to include the milestones, 2 different colors, the page numbers, and things like that. So the last thing that's on here is it's a sample chapter from the Eckers book. Now the Eckers book is the big yellow book that is in the recommended materials of your syllabus, but I don't ever have anyone buy it because it's fairly expensive. But it is the rating tool that I use when I go and I do a rating in a classroom where I'm looking at different indicators of quality. So each one of the centers has its own chapter in the Eckers book, and there's a lot of very important information that you're going to be able to use in your presentation. So when it talks about the different categories, when it talks about the skills that children learn, the amount of materials, any kind of indication for things for infants and toddlers. You're going to find a lot of that in this particular resource. And so each one of the centers I have put a PDF of on Blackboard so that you have access to this. So once you go back into Blackboard and you see here again is the instructions and here is the checklist, but you're also going to see the PowerPoints. There's 3 different PowerPoints that were created for you, and so the centers are spread out over the 3 PowerPoints. So once you choose your center, then you just need to go through these PowerPoints and find which one of the 3 parts your center is in, and you're going to find some additional information that you would want to include in your presentation. Here is where you're going to find all of the different chapters from the Eckers. So again, you don't need to buy the book. You don't need to actually do any kind of research. All you have to do is click on the one that goes with the center that you chose. Here again is the link to the milestone, so you have direct access to those as well. And then I also put a sample activity center project on here. In the past, I used to do this as a group project, and in my face-to-face class, I still do it as a group project. But in the online setting, I found that it was hard for people to be able to kind of get their schedules to work together to where they could create this. And so that's why in the online class, I actually have you do it individually. Once you turn it in on week 10, then one of your participation assignments for that week is going to be posting your presentation for your classmates to see, simply because you're only going to have the information on the center that you've researched. And so it's really important to get the information about the other centers as well. So there is everything that you need for this week in order for you to be able to successfully complete this assignment. I hope that you found that doing the video and showing you where everything was in Blackboard was helpful for you. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. But again, all you have to do for your participation this week is click on the groups link, and then you want to go in and sign up for the group, for the center that you actually want to do. The last thing that I wanted to mention, because several people have asked about due dates, if you ever have a question about a due date, please use this button here on Blackboard called Tasks. And so everything that you have for the semester is listed here. I know sometimes there's been some discrepancy between what the task button says and maybe what's on the course schedule. I've tried to make sure that everything is fixed. Sometimes when things get copied over, there are some mistakes that are made, but always go by this tasks button, and so that way you can see exactly when everything is done. So I just wanted to make sure to throw that out there for you. Again, each week I put out an announcement. Please make sure that you're reading those, because that's going to give you all the information that you need for the week. But in the meantime, have a great time working on your Activity Center project. I can't wait to see them and see everything that you learned as you were doing all of the research. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you next week for the observation.